Welcome back to a much more refined show and tell with BTL.
You do know who's sitting on the set, right? It's you and me. We're not serious at all.
Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh, yes, actually I do. I've got that in Moet Chandon. How about that?
And what?
Moet Chandon.
What's that?
Well, you need to Google it then, don't you?
The table's not here, so my phone's not sitting on it.
Do you have something you want to tell me about? You didn't tell me we had a set redesign.
I thought you ordered this. I walked in and this is how it was.
Kevin, we need to fix this. It's just not working. The only thing I will tell you I like about this setup is I can reach over and kick you now if I need to.
So actually, we do have the setup like this for a very special reason.
Absolutely.
Typically, our show is known more for the nonsense.
The buffoonery?
And fun.
Oh, I think the peanut gallery's got something to say over there. Any laughs or retorts or?
We are not. We're being serious. It's going to be the serious show today.
Yes, we're serious today. Yes.
So, but we're welcoming on a longtime arts person in the Tennessee Valley.
Correct.
And you're going to interview her, quote unquote, Barbara Walters style.
Now let's get this straight. All it is similar to in the way of Barbara Walters is that, in fact, it's an intimate conversation. I'm not going to be Barbara Wawa style and try to pull something zingers out or whatever. That's not what this is about.
It's funny because when you say Barbara Walters style, I know exactly the style, which is why we're sitting here like this.
Right.
But I could not tell you anything about her interviewing process.
Okay, YouTube it. You can find some famous interviews. There you go. Yes, yes, yes.
But we're going to talk to Allison from
Yes.
Arts Huntsville.
Yes, but it's also a big week for us this week too, isn't it? No? I don't know.
Season launch.
Season launch is coming up real soon. Yes, March 28th, right? Knock on.
There's no wood to knock on.
There's your head. Just use your head.
Here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Knock on wood, yes, March 28th will be our season launch.
And you know, here's the thing. This is also timely for this conversation with Allison because there's a lot of new facts and figures that they just did a huge research project on the impact of the arts in our community.
I know, and that's why we're going to have a very serious, intimate conversation about that.
Oh my, I don't know if I'm...
Well, you're going to be doing this.
I know.
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready. I promise I won't mess it up.
You know, one thing about this new season that super excites me,
Yes.
get to work with Jenny Bates again.
Yes, I know. Well, and she was one of the
And
first...
if you know, you know what that means.
Oh, you just gave a clue, didn't
did.
you? He's a sly little devil, isn't
He knows.
Everybody knows what me? No, I do know. I had to sign all the paperwork, so I do know. All right.
So I guess now it is time for us to cut to a break. I'm going to exit the set.
Are you going to sit in a bar or something?
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
Well-
okay. Well, I mean,
Well, I'm not into the bar scene.
okay.
You know.
All right. Very good. That's good. Well,
I might go sit in a police station lobby. How's that?
what do you want to get in trouble or get thrown in jail or something?
No.
Okay.
Even sitting in the lobby, they probably didn't bring enough
Just
for
keep
that.
it clean, keep it straight, keep it, no
So-
no monkey business.
I do have to ask. This will be the first segment you've done on your own.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I don't feel like I have to come up with quips or retorts or funny business because I think this is just a natural conversation that she and I are going to have, and that's it.
Awesome.
Most of the time I'm here, and it's about you and I bantering with each other, making fun of each other, or pointing out our
It is
absurdities.
not. A lot of time it is coalescing with our guests.
Ooh, a $5 word already this morning.
So, as we leave,
Yes.
when I'm gone, watch Kevin for the cues.
Oh, hey, how are you? Good morning, Kevin.
When he tells you to cut it off, cut it off.
Okay.
And we will see you guys in just a few minutes.
See you in a minute.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Make your game room the place to be during the winter game room sale at Billiards, Bar Stools, and Patio. See a great selection and save on pool tables, shuffleboards, arcade machines, golden tee, skee ball, and much more. Many items are in stock and ready for delivery. Save more on floor model pool tables and shuffleboards. Home theater seats and patio furniture are also available. Make your game room the place during the winter game room sale. Billiards, bar stools, and patio, Huntsville.
Have you listened to Mix 96.9?
A great variety of music.
The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and more.
Mix 96.9.
A fun, upbeat variety. The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and more.
Mix 96.9.
The Deep Comics and Games has the largest selection of comics, board games, and toys in North Alabama. All your favorite games such as Ticket to Ride, Munchkin, and Catan. Trading card games such as Magic, The Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. Miniature games, Warhammer, Star Wars, Flames of War, and all the supplies you need to get them ready for play. Selling your collection, The Deep is always buying and will give you the most cash for your stash. The Deep Comics and Games, 2310 South Memorial Parkway, just south of Office Depot.
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, Pretty Woman the musical.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I'm Andrew with Broadway Theater League, and we have a very special guest with us today, Miss Allison Dillon-Jauken with Arts Huntsville, the executive director. This, for me, is deeply important because there's a lot of things that we need to talk and share about that's going on in the arts community, which you kind of are like the umbrella over everything, aren't you?
Yes, and I'm thrilled to be here today because I'll take any opportunity to talk about our arts community. We have so much going on and so much to be proud of and so many opportunities for the community to engage with us that this is a great day for this conversation.
Wonderful, thank you very much. So actually, if you don't mind, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself and your journey here to Huntsville, Alabama, which I know you've been here, 15 years now?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. But we've got our own, each of us has our own sort of trail. So tell us about yours.
Well, I tell everyone that I've had the great privilege of working in nonprofit arts my entire career. And it really started in childhood because I grew up in rural Nebraska, a town of 3,000 people. But my mother and father loved the arts, so I had arts opportunities growing up. And then it was what I loved. So I went to school, I studied music and theater, went on to get a graduate degree in theater, and so I've lived coast to coast. The Bay Area to New York. After grad school, I worked with the company that redeveloped 42nd Street's historic theaters in New York, but then I always had a passion for children's theater and a background in children's theater, and the oldest children's theater in America called one day, so I spent 10 years in Nashville running an equity children's theater company. But like many stories you hear, one day I married an engineer. and then I found my way to Huntsville. And I've been here ever since.
So it was either Huntsville or San Jose, because those were big two tech areas, absolutely.
Absolutely, but having lived in the Bay Area and lived in New York, I did say to my husband, and having been here 15 years, I can say this. I said, well, let's give this a shot. Huntsville might be a little small, so let's give it 3 years.
So in the beginning, what was your first exposure to the arts, and what was it?
Growing up?
Yes.
So my brother and sister took piano. So I remember being about 3 years old and pounding on a baby piano. And I did it so much that my mom put me in piano lessons at 4.5. But in terms of seeing something, an arts performance, that was something similar to BTL. Because in a small rural community back in the 70s, they had what they called community concert series. So in this town of 3,000 people, we would have Canadian brass pass through, or we would have a small group doing pieces of Broadway shows. So that's how I saw Pick a Little, Talk a Little from The Music Man. And those were my first memories. And it lit a fire in me. And again, led me to a career in nonprofit arts and doing what I love.
What a deep impact on you that had, and it just blazed the trail for where you were going to go.
Yes, it lit that fire and that fed that passion inside of me. But I can remember those moments of going to the high school auditorium and seeing this touring production come in. And I'm like, oh, how do I get more of this? And now in Huntsville, we have all of that we have access to. I said when I moved here, I said to my husband, let's give this 3 years. And it was just shortly thereafter that I'm like, this is a community that can feed my art soul, and it's right where I want to be, because we have everything here that you can have in a bigger city, but we also have that community, and it's amazing.
So how has your perception changed about Huntsville when you arrived versus today?
Again, you come from bigger cities and you think, am I going to find everything I want here? But in that very first season, we had Broadway shows, we had the Van Cliburn winners with Huntsville Chamber Music Guild. Anything that you can want in the arts in a larger city, you can find here, from our art museum to Brazilian capoeira dance, to the Van Cliburn winners, to a Jesus Christ Superstar. Everything, and you also have that sense of community that makes it so easy to live in Huntsville and so easy to get involved in the arts.
Does the Huntsville arts community reflect itself?
I think we do, but we're working on that.
Okay.
If you look, I think our arts community is really making intentional choices about what we're sharing with the community, so that everyone in their community can see themselves on our stages or on our walls in a gallery. So we're working at that, but there's always more work to do, because at Arts Huntsville we have an arts equity statement that begins, the arts are for everyone. So I think our arts community is really working to make sure that everyone sees that they have a place in the arts.
Well, the boss over there has been telling me that we need to take a break for just a second.
Okay.
But we have a lot of other things we want to talk about. We want to talk about the, the volunteerism, our community, the corporate community. I mean, we could go on probably for an hour.
Exactly.
So we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Star 99.1 makes it easy to listen, win, and start your day with the early morning crew with Kevin and Miss Josie. Search WAHR Star 99.1 and download our free app to listen. The early morning crew with Kevin and Miss Josie. Weekdays 5 to 9 on Star 99.1.
Welcome to Hollywood! What's your dream?
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, Pretty Woman the musical.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Buying or selling your home, why not trust a legend? Huntsville native Karen Farrell can make the process fun, exciting, and easy. Enjoy the biggest investment of your life. Call a legend, Karen Farrell of Legend Realty, 468-4626, or find her on Facebook.
We've been rocking the Tennessee Valley for over 20 years. Rockin' 95.1 with Jimbo and Cassio in the morning, Shay Fox in the afternoon, Jack Spade at night, and Johnny Mays rocking your weekends. Huntsville's rock station is Rockin' 95.1.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I'm Andrew, and I'm sitting here with Allison Dillon-Jauken, the Executive Director of Arts Huntsville. Thank you very much again for your time. Something that I know from the day I arrived in Huntsville in July of '96 was the amount of commitment by the volunteers to the community. Talk to me about your perception of how important volunteerism is to the community and why they're so needed.
This arts community, all of our arts organizations, they were built by volunteers. And volunteers still play such a critical role. If you think of, well, there's BTL, or Arts Huntsville, or Fantasy Playhouse Children's Theater, or Huntsville Community Chorus, they were all started by committed volunteers. And they've continued to work. I was just at a meeting where our Panoply volunteers were sharing that they've been involved for 30, 35 years, almost to the beginning, and they're still there working. But right now, we're also at a time where we're losing some of our volunteers and our longtime supporters. Over the last few years, we've lost members of the arts community like Catherine Lester, or Butch Damson, or Judy Link, people who really have invested in the arts through the years. And I think as we lose them and they pass on, we're left with a charge. We're left with a charge to carry their work forward and ensure that we're just stewards of all of these arts organizations for a short period of time. And we need to make sure that we're leaving a strong foundation for the next generation that will take over. So our volunteers are the bedrock of what we do.
That's something I always say. I mean, anytime I talk to anybody about BTL or the arts community, is that it all begins and ends with community.
Absolutely.
So could not be more important. Another important part of our community that is getting more and more involved every day is the corporate community. What role do you think is important for them to play, and how can they get involved?
The arts are so critical, and our quality of life is so critical to workforce recruitment. When, like me, when I moved to Huntsville, and I said, well, does Huntsville have everything I want to enjoy? Everyone looks at a community like that, and we have so many jobs and so many great work opportunities in Huntsville, but people are looking at our community and say, do you have great improv? Do you have the touring Broadway shows that I want? Do you have a symphony orchestra? Is there a museum I can pop into on the weekends? We have all that, but the corporate community plays a critical role to support the arts and make sure that we can sustain all of these and sustain and grow all of these opportunities that people are looking for as they consider moving to Huntsville.
I do not want to let time go by and not discuss the Americans for the Arts survey that was recently done. And the numbers on this are just outstanding and staggering. I mean, you created that, so please just share all the great news.
Well, I have to thank all of our arts organizations because they participate. You send in your data and then you take audience surveys. So in our last study, we had 1.7 million people participating in the arts. And all of those people are spending money when they go to an arts event. They're going out to dinner, or they're coming in for an overnight stay to see a show or go to a festival or participate in an arts conference. And so that's making a tremendous economic impact in our community. All of that peripheral spending leads to $164 million economic impact. And it's a critical part because when you go to a show and you go out to dinner before, then you're supporting hospitality sector jobs. It's just this domino effect. And so we like to say the arts are business. We are a business sector for Huntsville, and we're growing, but we can't do it alone. We need our corporate supporters. We need our volunteers. We need our local arts support, and I have to credit the city of Huntsville for supporting a tremendous grant program for the arts.
Absolutely.
But it takes all of it. It takes the village to make this incredibly vibrant arts community that we have here in Huntsville.
And I know arts and education is also very, very important to you. Please tell me about STEAM. And STEAM, is there a letter we can do without in STEAM?
There is not.
Okay.
And I'll quote one of our board members, Todd May, formerly with NASA and Marshall. He spoke last year, and again, here's this remarkable engineer. And STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And he gave us the quote to live by. Without the arts, STEM is just a stick.
Very good.
But why we say that is because we have this remarkable engineering community here. And they're not just creating the same thing over and over. They're creating the next new thing, the next new technology. And you need that artistic training, that creative thinking, and innovative problem solving to create the next new thing. And that's why arts are so important for everyone in our schools.
I know we could go on for hours and hours.
We
I have
could.
2 questions I need to ask
Yes.
you, but first I want to say thank you so very much. This has meant the world to me. I know Panoply is coming up,
Yes.
artshuntsville.org. I'm sure you need volunteers.
We need volunteers, and we just want everyone to come out and celebrate because it's for everyone.
Absolutely. So my 2 questions I'd like to ask all of my guests. First, what's your favorite Broadway show?
You know, I can't answer that because Broadway is really the soundtrack to my life.
Oh.
Because on a difficult day, I'll listen to Rent. If I
Okay.
want some inspiration, it'll be Les Mis. If I just want something uplifting, it'll be Big River. So it's really just the soundtrack for me.
If you had a character that you would play in a Broadway show, who would it be?
That's hard because I have a couple favorites.
Okay.
Of course, just because of my time on 42nd Street, I have a really soft spot for Mama Rose and Gypsy.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
But I've always said if someone did a production of Fiddler on the Roof, there's a small little role in there that I've always loved from a young age. So I also have a little bit of Frumacera in me.
Your time is so greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much, my
Thank you
friend.
and BTL for all you do this for
Absolutely.
community.
Thank you.
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, Pretty Woman the Musical.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
The Deep Comics and Games has the largest selection of comics, board games, toys, and collectibles in North Alabama, with thousands of comics arriving weekly. Choose from the classics by DC and Marvel to the newest generation of heroes. Offering comics in every genre, The Deep has a comic for everyone. Selling your collection, The Deep is always buying and will give you the most cash for your stash. The Deep Comics and Games, 2310 South Memorial Parkway, just south of Office Depot.
Have you listened to Mix 96.9?
The 80s, 90s, and more.
With the best variety.
Mix 96.9.
Fun and upbeat.
Mix 96.9.
The best variety of 80s, 90s, and more.
Mix 96.9. Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I am nowhere near as lovely as Allison was sitting here. Matter of fact, looking at the screen there, I'm kind of horrifying. This is not a good look for me.
You look just fine. You look just fine. That was, I mean, what'd you think?
I thought it was very well done. And obviously, I don't have the composure to carry out a long-term, intense interview like you did.
But I think that I think this could be a new segment for us as we carry on and whatever. And I think that there will be guests that you will be in tune with very deeply, where you'll be able to tell a story that's important to the community.
Oh.
I mean, I would love to have, I mean, and I've already asked, I mean, Mac McCutcheon, I'd love to sit down and talk with him, and Debbie McCutcheon. I'd love to, you know, the mayor, I'd love to sit and, you know, ask him, you know, how important are the arts to the community? And I think there's a lot of interviews that we could do. But I think, you know, it's also important we sit here, you know, every morning and wake people up with our buffoonery and our silliness and,
Well,
you know.
that is true, but I will say, and you did strike on a point, this is our second episode we've now done in this style, you know, because last week we had the VBC on, talking about the 50th anniversary. And it's a good change from the buffoonery.
Yeah, we do kind of take it a bit far, don't we?
Well, it's not even taking a bit, I mean, we've had some fantastic times.
Oh, yeah.
But there's lots of very serious subjects that this style lends itself much more to than our typical style.
I've always thought that the arts community here in Huntsville is all part of a big ship, and I always talk about our ship of BTL. But I think it's important that we raise everyone up together. And you know, and it's something I say a lot. It's like, I want everybody in our community to be involved in the arts in some way. Whether it's at the museum or the symphony or at Panoply, just get involved. Because the arts change the quality of life for us here. I mean, who wants to simply go every day, punch a clock, work 8 hours, and go home and do a grind and not have creative and unique ways to get involved with our community, you know? So I'm very glad Allison came on, and I'm very proud of all the work that she and Arts Huntsville has accomplished in bringing a lot of awareness to all of the arts community.
I can't even contain all the pitter-patters I have for what you just said.
Okay.
Which is why you were doing these interviews instead of myself.
Like I said, you will have your moment, I'm sure. I am sure you will have your moment. Maybe, so if you could get somebody to sit in this chair across from you and talk to, who would you like to talk to?
Oh, my. That's a good question.
Would it be a writer?
I've interviewed lots of writers. Writers are boring.
He didn't mean that personally anyway. I'm sorry. Writers are not boring. If there were no writers, there wouldn't be any words on the stage, and there'd be no performances, so they're essential. There you go. Are we done? Are we done yet?
No, I've had to answer your question.
Oh.
I'm going to go back to what you said with Matt McCutcheon.
Okay.
Matt McCutcheon would be someone I would love to have sitting across from me to interview.
We can have Debbie and Mac between us, and you on one side, me on the other, and we
Actually, you know who I would like to interview?
Oh, geez, change his mind again.
Colonel Mustard.
Oh, you devil. Aren't you the devil? He's just full of it today, isn't he?
I would like to interview Colonel Mustard and see where the murder really happened.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to happen one way or the other.
Nicolas Cage.
So if you didn't hear Kip off stage, Nicolas Cage.
Is this about Face Off?
Me and Face Off. Wow, that's a throwback to the 90s.
I know. That's why I was like, what? What's the connection?
The coolest thing about that movie
is he Nick
they
Cage
had
now?
magnetic boots, so you couldn't move once they magnetized the floor. Anyhow.
I knew we could not get through an entire episode of this show without some buffoonery, so we've officially got that bit in it.
I didn't do it. He did it.
I know. Peanut Gallery.
But anyhow, I have this theory, and both my boys support this theory, that Nicolas Cage only portrays Nicolas Cage portraying a character.
That sounds pretty accurate. Yes.
So,
okay. So you're going to have Nick Cage right here, right, on interviewing?
Oh, if I could get Nick Cage over here, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
So,
Lisa, work on that, will you, honey?
Okay. So we've gone past our allotted time now.
Okay, well, edit it down.
We may have dropped a couple of clues about the upcoming season.
Oh, God. He's not subtle, is he?
I'm a big dude. What can I say?
I think that wraps up everything this week for this episode of Show and Tell with BTL. It was our pleasure to have Allison Dillon-Jauken with us from Arts Huntsville. And always, my friend, good to see you, and thanks for being here. And thanks for letting me go for a ride. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
See you soon.